vanachari Yamuna tira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jnanatirilom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privadikacharya Sutara Sudasi Srimad His Divine Grace Abhayatananda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Pramanandi Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vichani Nivase Sasimivani Vasatadi Satani Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 6, texts number 3 through 7. So let's see which one is on the board. Probably 7. Yes. So first of all, I will read the other slokas and then we'll responsibly chant the sloka on the board. So text number 3. I'll chant these ones by myself. Ete setra prasuta vai punastvangirisha smrita vatitaranam pravara setropeta dvip jataya. Translation. Having been born from the womb of Ratitara's wife, all these sons were known as the dynasty of Ratitara. But because they were born from the semen of Angira, they were also known as the dynasty of Angira. Among all the progeny of Ratitara, these sons were the most prominent, because owing to their birth, they were considered brahmanas. So there is very short purports to these slokas leading up to number 7, so I will also read them. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur gives the meaning of Dvi Jataya, or as mixed caste, indicating a mixture of Brahmana and Kshatriya. Text number 4. Suvatastu manorjagye Ixvakur granata sutta Tasya putra shattagjesta Vikukshi nimidandaka. The son of Manu was Ixvaku. When Manu was sneezing, Ixvaku was born from Manu's nostrils. King Ixvaku had 100 sons, of whom Vikukshi, Nimi, and Dandaka were the most prominent. Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, although the Bhagavatam 9, 1, 11, and 12 has previously included Ixvaku among the 10 sons begotten by Manu in his wife Shada, This was a generalization. It is here specifically explained that Ikshvaku was born simply from the sneezing of Manu. Text number 5. Teshang parastad abhavan aryavarte nripa nripa pancha vingsati panchachcha trayo madhye parenyata. Of the 100 sons, 25 became kings in the western side of Aryavarta, a place between the Himalaya and Vindhya mountains. Another 25 sons became kings in the east of Aryavarta, and the 3 principal sons became kings in the middle. The other sons became kings in various other places. Text number 6. Sa eka dastaka shradhe Ikshvaku sutam adishat Mangsam aniyatang medyang Vikukse gachyama chiram. During the months of January, February, and March, oblations offered to the forefathers are called Astaka Shraddha. The Shraddha ceremony is held during the dark fortnight of the month. When Maharaj Ikshvaku was performing his oblations in this ceremony, he ordered his son, Vikuksi, to go immediately to the forest to bring some pure flesh. Now we will responsibly chant text number 7. Tateti sa vanang gatva tateti sa vanang gatva mrigan hatva kriyar hanan mrigan hatva kriyar hanan Shranto Bubuksito Vira Shranto Bubuksito Vira Shranto Bubuksito Vira Shashang Chadad Apasmriti Shashang Chadad Upasmriti Tateti Savanangatva Vigan Hatva Kriyar Hanan Shranto Bubuksito Vira Sasang Chadad Upasmriti Tateti Savanangatva Mrigan Hatva Kriyar Hanan Shranto Bubuksito Vira Sasang Chadad Upasmriti Mataji's? Tateti savanam gadva Mrigan hatva kriyarhanan Santo bubuksito vira Shasang chadat upasmati Tateti savanam gadva Kriyaharanam Santo bubuksito vira Shasang chadat upasmati Tata according to the direction. Iti, thus. Sa, vikukshi. Vanam, to the forest. Gatva, going. Mrigan, animals. Hatva, killing. Kriya arhanan, suitable for offering to the yajna in the Shraddha ceremony. Shranta, when he was fatigued. Bubukshita, and hungry. Vira, the hero. Sasang, a rabbit. Cha, also. Adat, he ate. Upasmriti, forgetting that the flesh was meant for offering in the Shraddha. Translation. Thereafter, Ikshvaku's son, Vikukshi, went to the forest and killed many animals suitable for being offered as oblations. But when fatigued and hungry, he became forgetful and ate a rabbit he had killed. Responsibly, please. Thereafter, Ikshvaku's son, Vikukshi, went to the forest and killed many animals suitable for being offered as oblations. But when fatigued and hungry, he became forgetful and ate a rabbit he had killed. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. It is evident that Kshatriyas killed animals in the forest because the flesh of the animals was suitable to be offered at a particular type of yajna. Offering oblations to the forefathers in the ceremony known as Shraddha is also a kind of yajna. In this yajna, flesh obtained from the forest by hunting could be offered. However, in the present age, Kali Yuga, this kind of offering is forbidden. Quoting from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Asvamedam Gavalambang Sanyasang Palapaitrikam Devarena Sutopatim Kalo Pancha Vivarjayat. Quote, in this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden. The offering of a horse in sacrifice. So no horse killing in the age of Kali. The offering of a cow in sacrifice. The acceptance of the order of sannyas the offering oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man's begetting children in his brother's wife. Unquote. The word pala paitrikam refers to an offering of flesh in oblations to forefathers. Formerly such an offering was allowed, but in this age it is forbidden. In this age, Kali Yuga, everyone is expert in hunting animals, but most of the people are Sudras, not Kshatriyas. According to Vedic injunctions, however, only Kshatriyas are allowed to hunt, whereas Shudras are allowed to eat flesh after offering goats or other insignificant animals before the deity of goddess Kali or similar demigods. On the whole, meat eating is not completely forbidden. A particular class of men is allowed to eat meat according to various circumstances and injunctions. As far as eating beef is concerned, however, it is strictly prohibited to everyone. Thus, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna personally speaks of go raksham, cow protection. Meat eaters, according to their different positions and the directions of the Shastras, are allowed to eat flesh, but never the flesh of cows. Cows must be given all protection. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastha Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschachade Satarane. So they've asked me to cover a few texts, and there's purports in most of them. So I'll kind of go through the different texts and comment on them as I go along. So the first sloka, having been born from the womb of Rativara's wife, all these sons were known as the dynasty of Ratitara. But because they were born from the semen of Angira, they were also known as the dynasty of Angira. Among all the progeny of Ratitara, these sons were the most prominent because, owing to their birth, they were considered brahmanas. So this kind of sounds like brahmana by birth, doesn't it? Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada doesn't comment on this. So in order to really fully understand and resolve this apparent contradiction, we would need help from sadhu and guru and other shastras to clarify, what is going on here. It sounds kind of like, because they're born as Brahmana, Brahmana father, and now they are known as Brahmanas. Of course, we know from Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnyam mayastristam guna karma vibhagasa. It's guna karma. It's according to your qualities as a person that one is considered a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and also according to the type of activities that you perform. So, it is true, however, that if you have a Brahmana father, you will be exposed to Brahminical activities and Brahminical behavior from your father. And whatever we associate with in the material world, the people we associate with, we take on their qualities. So there is a very good chance that someone who has a genuine Brahmana as his father, that he will imbibe those qualities himself in due course of time. So this is what I have to say about this particular sloka. Now, text number 4. The son of Manu was Ikshvaku. When Manu was sneezing, Ikshvaku was born from Manu's nostrils. King Ikshvaku had 100 sons, of whom Vikukshi, Nimi, and Dandaka were the most prominent. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that earlier in this 9th canto, in the first chapter, text 11 and 12, it had previously included Maharaj Ikshvaku as among the 10 sons begotten by Manu in his wife Shraddha. But here we hear that Ikshvaku was born from the sneezing of Manu. So it is described that it is a generalization that all these sons were born from Manu's wife Shraddha. So here is another instance of how to understand an apparent contradiction in the Shastra. And here we are hearing from Srila Prabhupada and through Sridhar Swami. So we understand the Shastra both from Sadhu and Guru. Now, as far as someone being born from someone sneezing goes, it sounds a little far-fetched, doesn't it? There's a lot of things in the Vedic literatures that are, for us Kali Yugites, are very far-fetched. I mean, look at the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. When Queen Kunti gave birth first to Yudhisthira, Gandhari was very upset because now her son is going to be the eldest. And, good chance he'll be the king. So out of frustration and anger, she hit her abdomen, her pregnant abdomen. And she gave birth to a lump of flesh. Now this lump of flesh was divided into 100 parts and placed in earthen pots, and lo and behold, all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra grew and matured, and after they had taken birth, so to speak. They generally, you develop your eyes and your ears and your nose and your fingers and, your legs and everything else in the womb. But the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, they developed all these things while they were in the earthen pot. So things like this seem very far-fetched to us because they are not within our purview of experience in Kali Yuga. Now, we should understand through the Guru, Sadhu, as in Shastras, that our perception in the age of Kali is very, very limited. Our potencies in the age of Kali are very minuscule. And so therefore, we have to understand what happened in previous ages through the process of hearing from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And in this way, we can gain knowledge of what is what and what actually has happened in the past. So then we go to text number 7. In this sloka, this is the last sloka, this Vikukshi, who was the son of Maharaj Ikshvaku, was ordered by his father to go to the forest and kill some animals that are suitable for being offered in oblations in the Shraddha ceremony. And while exerting himself in this hunting endeavor, he became very fatigued and very hungry. And he ate a rabbit that he had killed. In other words, he ate boga. It was meant to be offered to the forefathers, and before it was offered, he ate it. Okay? So there's other instances another one that comes to my mind in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when someone does something they shouldn't do because of being fatigued and hungry and so forth. Maharaj Parikshit. Of course, this was under the influence of Yogamaya. He was out. Was he hunting? I'm not sure. I think so. And he was very thirsty and hungry, and he came upon the hermitage of Samika Rishi, and he wanted some water. And he requested the sage, please give me some water, I'm thirsty. And Samika Rishi was in trance, like in samadhi. And he didn't respond. So under the influence of Yogamaya, due to so-called hunger and thirst and fatigue, Maharaj Parikshit became very angry. And he saw a dead snake at the door. Now, if you would, use a little foresight, if there's a dead snake at someone's door, and they are sitting down, close by with closed eyes and in a meditative state, you could ascertain that actually they are in that state. Otherwise, that dead snake would be, taken out of the room. No one wants a dead snake in their hermitage or house or so on and so forth. But due to the influence of Yogamaya, Maharaj Parikshit did not think of this. Instead, he took his bow, picked up that snake, and draped the dead snake like a garland around the rishi's neck in a revengeful attitude under the influence of Yogamaya. And now, as a result of this, we're hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, under the influence of Yogamaya, you may be influenced to do so many things, but there's a good result from it. even though what he did was considered to be very low class and revengeful, mode of ignorance, so to speak. But because Krishna arranged it, now we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes the shloka that Lord Chaitanya quoted. Okay, the shloka is Ashramedam Kabalambang Sannyasam Palapaitrikam Devarena Sutopatim Kalo Pancha Vivarjayat. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden. The offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of a cow in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man's begetting children in his brother's wife. So we've kind of gone through a few of these in these group of slokas that I've talked about today. Now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted this sloka at a particular time and a particular place. Does anyone know when and where this sloka was spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Yes, I'll repeat this sloka. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden. The offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of a cow in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man's begetting children in his brother's wife. Yes. Huh? Correct. This is when Mahaprabhu, under the civil obedience, his mood of civil disobedience, went and performed Sankirtan in the streets of Navadvip with full enthusiasm, with fire torches, and in a very strong mood and very loud chanting of the holy name, marched to the Chandkazi's house because the Chandkazi had ordered his men to stop this chanting of the holy names. So Mahaprabhu, he would not tolerate this. And he gathered thousands of Hindus, and they all very loudly and very enthusiastically in procession chanted the holy names to the Chandkazi's house. And the Chandkazi, he was terrified. He was not only terrified because this large mob of angry Hindus were surrounding his house with torches of fire, but because he had had a dream the previous night of Lord Nrsingadev, and Lord Nrsingadev had warned him very, very sternly, do not stop the chanting of the holy names of God. So this put the Chandkazi in a submissive mood, so to speak. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knocked on the door of the Chandkazi, and behind him and around him were thousands of angry Hindus, he did it in a very gentle mood, and he was allowed inside by the Chandkazi, and they sat down together, and the Chandkazi said some pleasantries, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, stating, "You're like my son, I knew your grandfather, we had an intimate relationship," something like that. I don't remember the details. "And you're like my son, so you have come here, how can I help you?" And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and him had a discussion. And in this discussion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu challenged the Chandkazi. "Why do you, the bull is considered your father, because he tills the earth so that you can have grains to eat. So he's the provider. And the cow is your mother. For sheep, when you go off the breast of your mother, you go onto the breast of the cow. So why are you eating the flesh of a cow? How can you do this?" So then the Chandkazi quoted from the Quran. And it states somewhere in the Quran that there's basically the same thing in the Vedas. There's the Pravritti Marg and the Nivritti Marg. The path of renunciation and the path of material enjoyment. So he said that when someone is on the path of renunciation, he won't eat the cow's flesh. But if one is on the path of sense enjoyment, regulated sense enjoyment, then the eating of the cow's flesh is allowed. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu countered this with this sloka. Said, this is not allowed in this age. And he actually established the superiority over the Vedas with the Quran, so to speak. I hope the Muslims in the neighborhood don't hear me, or I'll, I might not be here tomorrow. So please don't repeat this. So these pastimes give us really insight in proper behavior, proper mood, and gives us tools so that we can properly understand things in context and not jump to conclusions from our mind. Just like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's saying, he quotes this sloka, to the Chandkazi, because, hey, in this age of Kali, because the Chandkazi actually challenged Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I forgot that, and said, hey, in your Shastras, you can do a sacrifice, you can kill a cow, you can kill a horse, and you're also, killing cows. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this was a previous age, and it actually was not killing, but it was rejuvenating. That the Brahmanas had potencies in those days, so that by chanting of mantras, they could take an old cow and offer it into a sacrifice, and from that fire a rejuvenated calf would come out. So this is not killing. We don't kill like that. And then he quoted this particular sloka. So, of course, we all know eventually it came to the point where Chandkazi says, yes, you are my full blessings to perform this congregational chanting of the holy names, and my forefather, all future generations of the people in this area will not disturb you in this regard either. He gave that blessing. So we are living under the blessing of the Chandkazi. We can freely chant Krishna's names in this area without getting disturbed by the Muslims. So, another point that can be brought out from this shloka quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that in this age of Kali, it's not allowed to take sannyas. It's forbidden. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And when his brother took sannyas, he approved of it. So what's going on here? This is what, again, we have to understand from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And I did some research on this, and I went into the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and there's the pastime with Vishvarup taking sannyas, and how Mahaprabhu approved of it. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes this shloka about, you can't accept sannyas in this age of Kali, and says the type of sannyas that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about is this Mayavadi sannyas, where, people, take up the garb of a sannyasi and make a livelihood out of it, and thinking that they and Narayan are one. And they become very degraded, and many of these so-called sannyasis, they will just, out of a quote-unquote mood of renunciation, accept and eat whatever is given to them without discrimination. So this is considered very abominable, and so this, because the age of Kali, it is prone towards people taking up like misconceptions and concocting different things that they do, even in a so-called mood of religiousness, from their mind, and then mislead other people, mislead themselves, and mislead others also. It's like a blind man leading other blind men, and they all they fall in a ditch. So also in this shloka, there's the mentioning of a man begetting children and his brother's wife. So, we generally don't, I've never heard of anyone doing it in my lifetime, willingly, because it is true, some men are impotent. They just cannot produce children, and it's a problem. So when this problem was there in previous ages, an impotent man would ask his older brother, "Could you please, take my wife and, inject your semen into her so that, I can have some children." And this was done. And this was done also in the Mahabharata by Vedavyas. He impregnated Vichitravirya's, he was his brother, half-brother, okay, who had died from tuberculosis. And his although he was very scary looking, and he had undergone great austerities, manted locks, and didn't bathe, and of course we know the whole story about how Dhritarashtra was born blind, and how Pandu was born white because of fear. This goes to show that at the time of conception, the consciousness of the mother and father have some outcome on what happens to the children. But the Sudrani, she was actually born of a Sudra mother. Sudra father and Brahmana mother, something like that. It was a mixed, but she was considered a Sudra. She was out of obedience to one of Vichitravirya's wife, because she didn't want to. She was asked to go and do this twice, and she just couldn't handle it. She went in there and very graciously accepted Vedavyasa into her room, worshipped him, honored him, and with full submissiveness and good consciousness accepted the semen from Vedavyasa. And lo and behold, Vidura was born, who is a great, great soul, and is a very prominent member of the Mahabharata as a great wise advisor to the king. And later on, after the Battle of Kurukshetra, he gave a lot of counsel to the Pandavas after the war was over, to try to, especially Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was so distraught. Here he is, the king of, the planet, and he's thinking that he's responsible because all these soldiers have been killed and all these women are now widows, and so to speak. Of course, he was not able to pacify Yudhishthira. Krishna was not able to pacify Yudhishthira. This is all Krishna's arrangement so that grandfather Bhishma could pacify Maharaj Yudhishthira. And that pastime is another instance of, which warrants our attention, and by associating with this particular pastime, we can gain great insight into proper behavior, proper attitude, and a proper mood in service to our spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, I think we have about 7 minutes here. Would anyone like to ask any questions or make any comments? Yes, Prabhu. Please, because this room is... Yeah, use the microphone. Also, I'm getting older. My hearing is diminishing. Among other things are diminishing. Some people, when they get older, they get bigger. I get smaller. One of these days, you won't be able to see me up here. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for a wonderful class, Maharaj. Just a quick question. We talked of oblations of skin of animals for the forefathers. Is it because the forefathers were Kshatriyas, or what's the purpose of meat here in the sense? When Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam.
Yes. Now, why is it, so the question is, why is it allowed to offer flesh to forefathers in Shraddha? Personally, I have not heard the answer to this question. So, it's possible that I could maybe concoct an answer to this question out of my mind, because I don't want to be embarrassed in front of all of you that I do not know the answer to this question. But I will take a humble position here and say, does anyone else know the answer to this question? Because I certainly do not. Yes, Prabhu. Very good. We will be happy to hear from you.
Sorry, I have a similar question, actually.
Oh, another question. I thought you had an answer.
But it's something that just was discussed a couple of weeks before. So my question is, apart from the cow, and apart from rejuvenating the animal coming out of the sacrifice, are we to understand that it was the case that the animals that were sacrificed was also eaten, and back in the days they did have the ability to consume that as prasad, and it wasn't necessarily considered tamasic?
Again, my answer to this question is the same as the previous one. Was the cow's body burned up in the fire? Or was the flesh of the cow eaten as prasad? Never heard about the flesh of the cow being eaten by anybody, anywhere, at any time. So I'm thinking animals other than the cow. Other than the cow. Well, obviously, sometimes the Kshatriyas would eat meat. Now, would they eat meat only after a sacrifice? No. They would eat the meat sometimes, like Bhima was eating meat regularly during the Battle of Kurukshetra. Because Kshatriyas, in order to do their duty, they have to be angry. And when you eat the flesh of an animal, it creates that anger in you. And when one is angry, one is full of fighting ability. An instance comes to my mind. One time I was on book distribution, and some young man came up, and I was giving change, and he came up and took the money from my hand and started running with it. I dropped my book bag, and seeing that this person who did this was not very big. This was in Hawaii. Most people in Hawaii are very big, so this happened many times to me. But this particular time, I took the risk. I ran after that person. I tackled that person. The person threw the money aside. I went and grabbed the money and continued running after him. And another person joined me, and we put this person. We went into like an alley, and this person had no place to go. And the person that had helped me capture him, so to speak, said, hit him, beat him up. I couldn't do it. I've never beaten up anybody. People beat me up, have beaten me up, but I've never beaten anybody up. It's not in my blood. It's not in my nature, so to speak. So, anyway, I forget what the point I was making, but okay. What's that? Yeah, Kshatriya being angry. I'm not a Kshatriya. Even though my name is a Kshatriya name, Sauri, it means heroic in battle, but I'm Sauri Das. I'm the servant of someone who's heroic in battle. Now, another thing about meat eating that I would like to mention, because this is a topic of this, is that you look in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the chapter, the punishment and reward of Kali, and it mentions the four regular principles, and when one breaks these four regular principles, what type of reaction there is for breaking each of them. And if you gamble, it destroys the quality of honesty. If you have illicit sex, it destroys the quality of cleanliness. If you take intoxication, it destroys mercy. But it doesn't mention in Srila Prabhupada's purport what meat eating does exactly. It says it causes pride, but it doesn't say exactly, what. But if you use the method of elimination, that there's 4 legs of the bull, and each bull stands for a certain quality. The only quality left that would be destroyed would be austerity. So then you can logically conclude that by eating meat, it destroys austerity. And so it's kind of like hard to understand. It's kind of easy to understand how intoxication destroys mercy, and gambling destroys honesty, and illicit sex destroys cleanliness. But, meat eating destroying austerity? So then, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra is required. So I looked into the purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he says that yes, intoxication destroys mercy, gambling destroys honesty, illicit sex destroys cleanliness, and meat eating, it destroys everything. It destroys all of them. It is an especially sinful act. If you are a meat eater, then you take on you will, become not a very nice person. Your character will be deeply affected. Okay? Any more questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu. Microphone. It's 9 o'clock. I hear the bell. If anyone wants to leave, you're welcome to. I won't be offended. Don't worry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There's a saying that even the devil himself can quote scripture for his own purpose.
Yes.
So sometimes we may, with all good intentions, utilize Srila Prabhupada's teachings, but get ourselves in the way. So how can we rectify that?
Okay. I have something that happened to me that can illustrate this. There was one devotee that was having some difficulty. His wife was divorcing him, for a good reason. Of course, there's no good reason for divorce. A woman should just separate herself from her husband if he's having a hard time. So she's separating herself from her husband for a good reason. And so I kind of tried to help him. And so he was starting to come to the morning program, and I was encouraging him and so on. And then he decided that he wanted to go to the Rainbow Gathering. This is like a hippie festival in America. They have them other places too where they, do all kinds of things. But devotees go there and cook a prasadam and feed all the hippies and chant, do Harinam and so on and so forth. So I, at that particular time, I had some income, so I gave him some money to buy some boga, and he loaned him my I had a large tent. So then when he came back, I was given the tent all dirty and wet and damaged. And I brought the tent to him and said, Prabhu, I gave you this tent clean and undamaged, so please repair it. You know what he said to me? He said, Prabhupada said, to lend means to lose. So I'm justified. I should have just taken the tent. But I'm being very merciful. I gave it back to you, so to speak. So how do you avoid this? It's common sense. you just utilize your brain and, avoid this type of behavior justifying some type of illicit behavior or behavior under the mode of gunas, quoting from Srila Prabhupada or the Shastra that it's okay. Like, I'm a Kshatriya, I can go out and hunt and eat meat. But then you don't understand the full Shastra for this type of behavior is forbidden in the age of Kali, actually. Okay? Is that right? Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Gaur Premanandi.